Hey guys, it's Dr. Kirby and we're back with another video. Now, I hope when this video comes out, Bard is out. So I'm just going to this is the second take of me doing a Bard guide because the first take was so messy. So we're back here again. We're at my favorite website, op.gg, which is the website where, I would learn a champion even if they're not in Wild Rift, or maybe how can I tune it to Wild Rift. We also have Wild Rift Fire for items, which we need to like hover around. But yeah, we will get to that first. But let's start this guide. Usually I start off with the abilities, but then it will make sense when I explain it later on. So we're just going to start with the runes and summoner spells and all that. So let's start with runes. Now, I don't remember Bard using, well, at the time, I guess. But since Electrocute is so strong on PC, I'm guessing that makes sense why people are using it now. So I think it's in the right state. But with Bard, you would want to start with an Electrocute rune. Or if you want to be that healer girl, you can do Airy. Or, I've never tried this, but Glacial could actually work as well. Glacial is just that, like, generalist um rune. Like, I would take it on Senna, even though I don't really use it on her, but the slow on your auto attacks is very useful. And that could be also useful on Bard. So, Glacial Augment. Let's see if we can get a rune tier list here popping up. So yeah, Glacial is really good on Bard. It's not strong. Whoa. Whoa. If that's the grasp, let's do Keystone. Where is... Okay, Glacial is numbered at tier A. But yeah, I think it's also good on Bard because when we get to the abilities, I will talk about it more. But let's talk about the Electrocute first. Now, Electrocute is good because Bard's auto attacks do on hit with his meeps, which we'll get into later on the ability side. So, and it also slows him as kind of like an AoE, like a Lissandra or like a Kale third skill. You know, when you throw a Kale third skill, there's an after effect hitting the back. So it's like a small AoE that will slow people. And I think it's an on hit, that's why it will proc so well, and then you can use the first skill, which we'll talk about later. So yeah, and it's also a strong tool because Electrocute is such a like a quick burst tool. And when you're trading in lane with Bard, I think that's the key. He's surprisingly aggressive than what I remembered him because I used to be so passive when I played Bard. So that's why you will want to take Electrocute because people won't expect that crazy burst traits, right? So let's talk about the minor runes real quick. Obviously, you want your Transcendence. As you can see, it's S tier. Transcendence is always that girl. You also want to take bone plating for your the single rune, the tertiary rune, because I feel like if you're going against aggressive comps and you're such like aggro, I think you want to get bone plating. For other ones, I think cheap shot is good for your stun if you're a good hitting your stun kind of person, hitting two enemies together, which we'll get into abilities. I think this will benefit him, but I honestly don't think it will. Honestly, empowered attack, I'm surprised that's B. This is very useful on Senna. Every 8 seconds, the next attack will be empowered, dealing this amount of damage. I think this will stack on with your meeps, your passive auto attack thingy. So I think this will be nice. Also, obviously, revitalize and all of that. Where is what Pathfinder? Yes, anything with movement. Pathfinder, I think, is that girl. Gain 50% movements, not 50%, 50 movement speed in the river. When we get into the passive, you're going to be roaming a lot. So that's T. Also, Mana Flow Band. I don't. If you're well, I don't think this is useful anymore. Well, to me, it's more like a relationship thing. Like I love Mana Flow Band so much because I used to use it so much on like Sona or whatever. But to each their own. Mark of the Week is also good, especially if you're going for that aggroness. But I think they nerfed this, that's why it's so low. What else do we talk about? Futures market. Anything that has movement speed. Nimbus Cloak. This will be good for Bard as well because it gives him that movement speed. Ixtali Siege Jar. When you pick up the sea replace trinket. Again, this is also good, but I don't really use Ixtali Siege Jar because I'm unexperienced with it. So I think if people who know how to use this would use it. What else do we talk about? Overgrowth, Second Wind. Yes, Second Wind is really nice. And also this one, Ingenious Hunter for the item ability haste. Also Gathering Storm to, more aid AP later on. So, but my go-to is always Transcendence, Mana Flow Band, Pathfinder, Nimbus Cloak, all of that. And then, like I said, your keystone could be either Comet, very random. This is your last option if you want. Glacial, because Glacial has a slow, right? Land an attack on an enemy, reduce their movement speed by 20%. And then meaning like, I think this adds on to that slow that you have with your meep. So maybe that could be something unexpected for the people, especially when you hit that stun. Airy is last. Electrocute is beats here for some reason, but you know what? It is what it is, girly pop. But yeah, there's the runes there. Now let's go on to the ability side, because I think I dwindled on for too long on that. So let's talk about the passive. So there's two things for Bard's passive, Traveler's Call. Let's talk about chimes first. There's chimes that appear on the map for Bard to collect. They give him experience and restore mana and provide out-of-combat movement speed, as you can see there. So that's why I was talking about Pathfinder, because you never know that these things could be spawning outside of your lane on the river. Or it could be somewhere in the team jungle, this and the other. I think it's based on wherever Bard is radius-wise, so it will auto drop. Obviously, there's going to be some chimes up there at the top lane, in the mid lane, whatever. But I think this is mostly spawning wherever Bard is currently. I always assume that it is. It's not that random. Like it's not going to spawn in the enemy jungle like that. You're not going to go. It could, but like maybe like a small chance. Maybe they fixed the ratios here in the Wild Rift version. So there's the chimes there. Now now let's talk about meeps. Bard attracts lesser spirits to assist him with his basic attacks to deal extra damage. That's why I was talking about electrocute, glacial, and all that. When Bard has collected enough chimes, meaning it will certain amount of chimes will give him one meep. His meeps will also deal damage in an area and slow enemies hit slow enemies. There, you gotta get that part right. So either this stacks with glacial slow. So for example, if it's 20% for glacial, and maybe this one gives 20, it'll be 40. That I don't know. So please double check. Go to practice when he comes out, or when he's out now. Do it. But yeah, and also does a decent amount of damage. So that's why electrocute is so good. You wouldn't want to build what's the word? You wouldn't want to build too much AP. It's not like a Rakan situation, like an AP Rakan situation, because I feel like Bard shines more in his utility. His healing will be good later on, but yeah, I think he, yeah. Okay, wait, before we do that, we forgot to do the summoner spells, flash, ignite, because Bard does get aggressive. Or if you're scared, take heal. That's it. Yeah. So yeah, now let's talk about the first skill, which is Cosmic Binding. Now, this is a skill shot that fires in a certain direction. The first target hit is slowed. There we go. So it slows. He has a lot of utility when it comes to slows. That's why I always assume Glacial would be good for him. Kind of an underrated pick. But, if you know how to use the rune, if you read, like, abilities and stuff, like, if you know what's happening, what's the T, then you can craft it. Because some people might say, like, I don't think that's a good idea. It's a good idea in some situations, if you know what you're doing. Like, that's why I do off-meta stuff, because I know what I'm doing. I have a Senna tank build, Senna AP build, a Senna lethality build. Like, if you know what you're doing, I'm not going to backtrack into this. But there's a reason why off-meta is a thing, because they know what they're doing. So if you know what you're doing, then pop off, sis. So if the bolt hits a second enemy or a wall, meaning like these walls, or any wall, they are stunned for this amount of seconds. So again, when they're stunned in the wall, boom, glacial procs, meaning they have another slow when they're out of that stun. So if you like go deeper into that thinking mindset, you kind of would succeed in it. Okay, so yeah, that's what his ability does. You would want to max this. What does the guide say here? First, you would max this first, because I think it's that tool for like engage, initiate. Think of it as like a Janna first skill. You know what I mean? You use your tornado to engage someone from like a gank, or you can use it also to disengage someone. Not bad. So let's talk about W in France. Caretaker's Shrine. So he creates this like area thing, like this little a shrine that grants this amount of movement speed, decaying over a few seconds, and restores at least this amount of health to the first ally to enter. The shrine grows to restore this amount of health after existing for this amount of seconds. So basically, it's cooking. So you can either get it ASAP and get a certain amount of small healing, or wait for it to cook and then use the thing to proc it. You know what I mean? Like, then you start to get that full heal amount. But he can have, I think in Wild Rift, I think my guess is he can only have 3 of these, or maybe 4 of these shrines. That's my guess. I don't know anything. Maybe you can have 4 of these shrines at once. If an enemy champion enters a shrine, it is destroyed. Meaning it's like a Zyra plant. If there's a Zyra seed there and they hit it, then it's gone. So my advice is for this, just put it on the back where the what's that, the honey fruit is, or somewhere around near the turret, so that you can actually just go back and clutch it. So yeah, so that's pretty useful there. Or you can also just put it on them ASAP, like it's just like a quick heal for that. This ability has blank charges, and then it also shows the amount of active shrines. So if there's a limit of 3 shrines, if it uses it up, if you use another one, the earliest one will be released. So the first one you put will be gone. You know what I mean? So yeah. Ooh. Also, you gain the movement speed, don't forget. But yeah, you max his second, which is not bad, you know. He's not that healer support. He's kind of like an overall do-it-yourself kind of support roamer. Okay, now this is obvious what this ability is. Magical Journey Girl. He opens a portal in a specific, like, if you know how to, you know, hit your like a Zyra E. We'll call it a Zyra E in a vibe. Her dash. Bar can open up a one-way portal that's open for 10 seconds. Any champion can enter the portal by moving onto it while near the entrance. Now, this tool is good for traveling around, especially when you want to go for your meeps. This is also good for ganking unexpected people. Like, you can be first in and then throw your slow, and then your teammate is behind you from that portal, and then you can follow up that gank at the end. So this is where Bard shines as a ganker. So as you can see, the cooldown is 22 seconds. I think in Wild Rift this could be 20 seconds actually, and then it goes lower on with your CDR. So yeah, it's a very long cooldown. So you want to use it like very when you need to, not just sparingly. When there's like a moment where you need to. A good way also to use this is when we're getting chased. Throw out that portal, they go into that portal. Never go into that portal if you're a bard, because he can, if you're in a wall, he can actually just throw his first skill out and stun you. And if you have glacial on, you're effed. And if the teammate is there, you're effed her. You know what I mean? So yeah, you want to max this last. And for your ultimate, it is this Tempered Fate, which is this Zanya Volibear type of ultimate, but instead of halting the turret, it halts all of y'all. So he hurls a magic project energy to an area, placing units and structures into a stasis a la Zanya's for this amount of seconds. I'm guessing 3 or 2, like a Tryndamere, or whatever time is the Zanya's is the boot enchant. So this is a global ultimate, by the way, because it has a range of 3,400. So you can use this in any clutch situations, especially if you're in a team. Like, hey, I'm throwing my ult. You can initiate on him, that part. So yes, it has a long cooldown, and you want to use this like the third skill, engage and disengage whenever you can. Also, if the enemy is hugging the turret, you can literally just ult the turret and then they will not be on that stasis, and then you can attack them from there. So they used to hate this ultimate because it's such a troll ability, but now it's being seen like as something like unique and something whoa. So yes, so there's that for him. Okay, now let's talk about the items. Let's talk about the items. So we're gonna do the tier listing. I think that's more better, right? So we're gonna do the mat. Actually, let's do boots first. I think boots. Oh no, there's a lot of options. Let's do the enchant first. Now, obviously, I'm surprised Dreammaker is C tier. I guess it's very specific, and it's also not really giving. But yeah, I would love Dreammaker for your boot enchant, or if you want to be protective, especially in like burst comps, I think Locket is the one. And or Veil. No, Veil makes sense because if you don't have the ability to protect your carry, to, you know, disable their crowd control effects, I think this is more T. But my experience, I never use this because I have no experience of using this. Maybe if you're a Yumi, you can use this because you're on them. But other than that, no. Yes, so that's what you want to get. For your boots, you either want your CDR boots, which are A tier. Your boots of mana or your boots of lucidity. I would want boots of lucidity because they now give mana regen. So I'm happy about that. I would go with this one because to me, I'm more of a cooldown person, especially you want to get more of your ultimates off and pop. And also more of that first skill hits and everything. Because at some point, you're going to have like 53% CDR reduction. So that's what you would want by the end game. So let's talk about your items. Obviously, I would want to get the Harmonic Echo as a starter item because I feel like that's a starter item for everything. Always. Also, your Ardent Sensors and your Staff of Flowing Waters is that girl. If you want to go crazy for a first start, maybe not build harmonic echo later, but you do want to get that because it is the um quintessential like support item for you, and it's also the what's that, a mythic item. It's a mythic item because it has that yordle look. So there's that. Or if you want to go crazy and you want to have more ults, you can use malignants because of this thing. It's not gonna really benefit you much. Maybe the haste will and the mana. Ability power wise, maybe more healing. But your ultimate abilities gain a 20% haste. So yeah, damaging a champion. This hate fog passive is useless because damaging a champion with your ultimate burns them. Your ultimate doesn't damage, by the way. So I don't know what you're gonna do with that information, but you know. And obviously, you want your anti heal with Morello. Or if you're feeling nasty, Mandate is actually not bad. I think I love. I'm surprised it's feature. I love Mandate just as it is. I would go with Harmonic, Mandate, maybe Staff or Argent, and then your anti-heal item because your other slot is going to be for your support item. So yeah, I kind of like that. That's kind of sad. Oh, not these two. Oh, this is situational. Like if you want to define an item or the word situational in League, this is a situational item. Okay, for defenses, you can also go defensive because, you know, you want to be tanky as well. Sometimes if you build enough of your AP items, you want to go somewhere tanky. And I think Zeke's Convergence is actually good because it gives you these good stats. And also that passive, that Harbinger passive, where if you cast your ultimate, it surrounds you with Uplifter for 10 seconds. And then, you know, it slows them again and leaves a trail behind you. Allied champions on the trail gain 50% movement speed. Like that. Again, movement speed. There's the key. What else? Okay, this one's mostly for engage. You can also use this. Again, you want this one, Protector's Vow, also good for like protecting your allies because of that passive, the Protector passive, where I think this was a rune, right? You know what I mean? So yeah, I would love that, period. What else? What else? Redemption. Ooh, Redemption's not. Ooh, Redemption. Actually, yeah, that could make sense. I like Redemption, but it's very situational. Especially if you're... I think this only works on Karma, where you have to be around them to actually hit your ability so that they're in range of the healing. Random. Dead Man's Plate. Ooh, oh yeah, Dead Man's Plate because it gives you that movement speed, honey, so you can easily roam around. There's some builds out there that could work. Also, in this PC version, actually, you have to start with a Dead Man's Plate, which is shocking because of that movement speed passive. I don't know how it scales in Wild Rift, but it actually makes sense. So, I love that. Also, as you can see here, there's mostly AP items here with Wit's End and Leandry's Torment, and they're pretty good right now. Wit's End is... Let's see where Wit's End is in the tier list. Oh, well, you know, there's better items in Wild Rift. That's why Wit's End is here. A better AP, better attack speed item could be like this one, the Magnetic Blaster. You know, this one is also not bad, but what are you gonna do with that? You're not scaling with crit. You need to scale crit for this. But yeah, Wit's End is kind of... But yeah. What else do I talk about? Is that it? That's it? Ooh, child, that was it. As you can see, this is the PC version. Redemption is in their builds, so I would recommend maybe trying out Redemption. To me, I don't like Redemption as much, but you know, to each your own preferences, right? This is my guide video, and I'm just giving you guys some ideas, and you can do whatever you want with that. But yeah, that was the guide. I hope you guys learned something. Even if you don't, rewatch this video multiple times, girl, if you want some help on that. If you are new to my channel, make sure you guys subscribe, notification bell for whenever I upload a new video. I am a feature video as content, mostly for Wild Rift, but obviously I can pop up what I want. So you can see my recent video, I was talking about, you know, should Crystal Rose take a break, which it should. And then I did the reaction to the, I think they're released now, right? Mystical Herald Skins, because I'm recording this before the day 22nd. So yes, I want to get your guys' feedback on these skins, and I talked about Xin Zhao's update and is if it's coming to Wild Rift or not. Yeah, I just have a lot of videos yapping, so, you know, like right now. Also, let me know what you guys think of the guide. You know, try out Bard for me because, you know, he might be fun or not. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. If you want to support the channel, there is a coffee page in the description below. You can also donate on YouTube itself with the thanks. Or if you don't have anything, just watch the ads till the end. Get that algorithm and that ad revenue up, honey. If you're not subscribed, 75% of you guys aren't subscribed. So if you're watching this, do subscribe because we need to get that percentage low, honey. And if you want to talk to me, I have a Discord server. You know, I'm there. It's quiet right now because nothing's happening with Wild Rift Tea. So, you know, when tea happens, then that's when everyone starts talking. Like summer party, which where is she? But yeah, that was the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.